Welcome back to All About Winning Daily Fantasy Sports. My name is Ty Patton. The road to the Super Bowl concludes this weekend with the conference championship games, each sending a team to the Super Bowl. In this Showdown video, I will share my research and strategy for the first game, which features the number 5 seed Tennessee Titans visiting the number 2 seed Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are a 7-point favorite with a game total of 52.5 points. Before we unpack this game, I want to share the numbers that are fantasy relevant to the Showdown contest itself. There have been 129 Showdown contests, including the 8 playoff games. These Showdown contests, the 121 contests, excluding the playoff games, had an average winning score of 132.10, with an average winning captain score of 42.67. Including the playoffs, the average winning score was 131.89, with an average winning captain score of 42.92. And just the playoffs, the 8 games, the average winning score was 128.71, and the average winning captain score was 46.74. Since the captain's position represents approximately 32% of the average winning score, I focus a lot of attention to the captain's position. And taking a quick look at those individual Showdown contests, for just the 121 contests, the captain's position represented 32.30% of the average winning score. Including the playoff games, the captain's position represented 32.54%. And just the playoff games, the captain's position represented 36.31%. So it's right in between 32 and 36% for the captain's position, and that's why I focus a lot of attention to the captain's position. Excuse me. With that being said, the captain's position breaks down as follows through the 129 Showdown contest, which includes the 8 playoff games. The underdog running back has been the captain in the winning lineup more than any other position, 25 times for 19%. The favored wide receiver, 23 times for 18%. The favored quarterback has been the captain in the winning lineup 22 times for 17%. The favored running back, 17 times for 13%. The underdog wide receiver has been the captain in the winning lineup 16 times for 12%. The underdog quarterback, 10 times for 8%. The favored defensive special teams has been the captain in the winning lineup 6 times for 5%. The favored tight end, 3 times for 2%. The underdog tight end has been the captain in the winning lineup 3 times for 2%. The underdog kicker has been the captain in the winning lineup for 2 times for 2%. And the underdog defensive special teams has been the captain in the winning lineup 2 times for 2%. Now, I broke this down by positions, whether they were the favorite or underdog, and it breaks down as follows. Running backs have been the captain in the winning lineup more than any other position, 42 times for 33%. Wide receivers are close behind, 39 winning captains for 30%. Quarterbacks, 32 winning captains for 25%. All others represent 16 winning captains for 12%. Another statistic that I'm interested in with the Showdown contest is the overall straight-up one-loss record for the team of the winning captain. And it breaks down as this. The winning captain, their team, has a one-loss record of 92 wins and 37 losses, which is a 71% win percentage. That means 71% of the time the captain from the winning lineup comes from the winning team. I broke that down by position as well, and it breaks down as follows. Running backs were 33 wins and 9 losses for a 79% win percentage. Wide receivers, 24 wins and 15 losses for a 62% win percentage. And quarterbacks, 23 wins and 9 losses for a 72% win percentage. Now, a little bit different than through the regular season, I started breaking this down by playoffs too, and then we're going to compare the numbers. But there have been 8 playoff games this season, and the average winning score was 128.71. The one-loss record is 6 wins, 2 losses, and the average captain score was 46.74. And now by position through those 8 games, the underdog running back was the captain in the winning lineup 2 times for 25%. Favored wide receiver 2 times for 25%, which coincides with through the regular seasons the exact top 2, the underdog running back and the favored wide receiver. Favored running back, one time for 12.5%. Underdog wide receiver, one time for 12.5%. Underdog quarterback, one time for 12.5%. And the favorite tight end, one time for 12.5%. As I mentioned, the one-loss record of these captains was 6 wins and 2 losses for a win percentage of 75%. Running backs were 3-0 for 100%. Wide receivers were 2 wins, 1 loss for 67%. Quarterbacks 0-1 for 0%. That was Josh Allen. And the tight ends were 1 win and 0 losses for 100%. Now let's take a look at these numbers in comparison. Through the 121 Showdown contests, as I mentioned, the average winning score was 132.10. Through the 8 playoff games, the average winning score was 128.71, a difference about just under 4 points. The average winning captain score for the 121 Showdown was 42.67. In the playoffs, it was 46.74, a difference of just a little bit over 4 points. And the captain's percentage of the winning score was 32.30% for the 121 Showdown contest, and for the 8 playoff games, it was 36.31%. So a difference of right around 4 points. So there's not much difference in the 121 Showdown contest and the playoff games. And these were some really interesting numbers. Now, through the 121 Showdown contest, the underdog running back was the captain more than any other position, 25 times for 19%. In the 8 playoff games, the underdog running back was the captain in the winning lineup 2 times for 25%. And the second position for the 121 Showdowns was the favored wide receiver, 23 times for 18%. In the playoff games, it was 2 times for 25%. So those numbers are really close. As I mentioned, the one-loss record through the 121 Showdown contest was 86 wins and 35 losses for a 71% win percentage. In the playoffs, 6 wins and 2 losses for a 75% win percentage, just a difference of 4 percentage points. And the total position, running backs, 42 winning captains for 33%. In the playoffs, 3 winning captains for 37.5%. So all those numbers, I thought they were pretty compelling, and when you compare them, they're really close in the regular season and the playoffs. Now, do these numbers unlock the winning showdown lineup between the Titans and Chiefs? Absolutely not. But these numbers can factor into our overall process. Some of the main takeaways from these numbers, as I mentioned, underdog running backs appear in the captain's position more than any other position through the 121 regular season games and the playoffs. The captain comes from the winning team 71% of the time through the regular season, 75% of the time in the playoffs. And running backs appear more than any other position. Regular season, 33%. Playoffs, 37.5%. Now, I take all this information and I use it as just a part of my overall process. My overall process involves I make a stand. Who do I think will win? Since I know the captain comes from the winning lineup between 71 and 75% of the time, I take a stand who I think is going to win the game. That's where I'm going to get my captain from. What is the path to victory? What are the good matchups? Have these teams met before? The passing game, the running game, the defenses, what are the matchups? And then from that, I develop a player pool that support that theory. And then from those players, I identify between 4 and 6 players that I feel have a path to be the highest scoring players in the game. And then I build my lineup around those players in correlation. Some things that I do, if I have a quarterback in the captain spot, I like to use at least 2 targets in the flex. There's only one quarterback that I didn't require that. Sometimes I at least want to have one, and that was Lamar Jackson. If I have a wide receiver in the captain spot, I like to have his quarterback in the flex, and those are just some of the correlations that I do use, and then I build around them. And another thing is, if I have a quarterback in the captain, I don't mind using the opposing team's defense in the flex. They correlate. If that defense is doing well, or say they get a defensive special teams touchdown, puts that quarterback in behind, he's got to do more to win the game. And that's just how I put my lineups together. In the Chiefs-Titans game, I do feel that the Chiefs will win this game at home. The path to doing this is to start fast, build a lead, and put the game in Tannehill's hands and force Tennessee to abandon the run game because of the game script. I went back and watched the game between these two teams in week 10, which Tennessee won 35-32 in Tennessee. Some things that really stood out was that Tennessee had no answer for Tyreek Hill in that game. He had 11 receptions on 19 targets for 157 yards and a touchdown. This game turned on a couple big plays. With the Chiefs leading 7-0 in the first quarter, Ryan Tannehill fumbled the ball, setting up the Chiefs on the Tennessee 20. But the Chiefs got two penalties. One was a pass interference on Tyreek Hill, and the other was a holding penalty on the Chiefs, and this forced the Chiefs to settle for a field goal instead of a touchdown. In the second quarter, with the Chiefs leading 10-0, Ryan Tannehill hit Khalif Raymond for a 52-yard bomb, setting up the Titans on the Kansas City 21. Ryan Tannehill capped the drive off with a 9-yard pass to the backup tight end, Fursker. On the ensuing drive, the Chiefs drove to the Tennessee 44 from their own 15 when running back Damian Williams fumbled the ball and Tennessee returned the fumble 53 yards for a touchdown. So from being set up to go up 14-0, the Chiefs now found themselves behind 13-10. Another big play for the Titans occurred in the third quarter with the Chiefs gaining the lead 19-10. The second play after the kickoff, running back Derrick Henry rushed up the middle for a 68-yard touchdown to give the Titans a 20-19 lead. Kansas City had missed their extra point try early in the fourth quarter, leading 22-20. Then Patrick Mahomes hit Hardman with a 63-yard touchdown pass. Tennessee answered that with a 9-play, 75-yard, 5-minute, 34-second drive, capped off with Derrick Henry's second touchdown of the day from 1 yard out. With Kansas City winning the game 32-27, there was only a minute and 25 seconds left, and the Chiefs had set up for a 46-yard field goal when the holder fumbled the ball, picked it up, and just threw it down the field. They got an intentional grounding penalty and turned the ball over to the Titans with a minute 23 left, with a minute 21 left from the Titans' 39-yard line. 4 plays later, Ryan Tannehill hit wide receiver Humphries for a 23-yard touchdown and left 23 seconds on the board for Mahomes. Mahomes took that 23 seconds, drove down the field to set up a potential game-tying field goal from Butker, and the field goal was blocked. So my point in all this is there were a lot of big plays. There was the fumble return for a touchdown. There was a Derrick Henry 68-yard touchdown. There was a missed field goal. There was a blocked field goal. All those things factored into the Tennessee win. Otherwise, the Chiefs would have won that game handily by 2 or 3 touchdowns, which I think sets up the scenario for this weekend. If the Titans don't get all those breaks, they could find themselves behind, and in the game script, phasing out Derrick Henry and having to come from behind. So with that being said, using the numbers that I shared with you guys, this is a manual lineup that I've built utilizing those numbers, and then we'll talk about it when I finish. But I like Tyreek Hill at the captain spot. I think he'll be a little bit contrarian. I think Mahomes will be one of the favorites to have in the captain spot. With this, I'm saying that I think Tyreek will have the big game, and the Chiefs won't have to do as much. I don't think they're going to have to come from behind like they did last week against Houston, which meant that Mahomes had to do a lot. I think when I have a wide receiver in the captain, I'm saying I think this wide receiver is going to get the majority of the targets and be in a smash spot, smash the game, and outscore the quarterback. So if I got Hill in the captain, obviously I want to put Mahomes in the flex with him. Next, I want to have the Chiefs defense as in this stack, and also the field goal kicker. So I feel like I've covered a lot of the Chiefs scoring possibilities. Now, I'm going to put Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry will get some of the fantasy points early in the game, perhaps when the game is close. And I'm going to go down here. If Adam Humphries is back this week, he's been out since December. He's listed as questionable. Humphries logged a full slate of practices this week, signaling that he has a chance to return to action this weekend for the first time since December 1. If he plays, I'm going to plug Humphries in there. He'll be playing out of the slot, which is another position that the Chiefs have a hard time defending. That leaves 500 on the table. Now, if something happens that Humphries isn't available, obviously I could switch him out. I had 1,300 left, and I could get Dion Lewis, and have both running backs from the Titans and leave 300. But for now, I'm going to go with Humphries being in the game. He did score a touchdown in the first game coming out of the slot. The Chiefs will probably obviously put a lot of emphasis on trying to slow down A.J. Brown. And I just feel like, and this leaves 500 on the table. In a showdown contest, leaving money on the table is not a bad thing. The average winning score through the season, the average winning lineup in large GPPs was leaving just over $1,000 on the table. So that's the manual build that I like. I really like Tyreek Hill a lot this week. I don't think the Titans have an answer for him after what Kelsey did last week. It's kind of like pick your poison. I think the Titans will focus on slowing down Kelsey. If they don't, and they try to slow down Hill with maybe bracket coverage or safety over the top, you can see a situation where Kelsey would be the one to go off. But I like this lineup, and I will be playing this in a few different contests. Now, as I always do, I utilize an optimizer. And the main reason I utilize an optimizer is because I want to see the different randomizations of the players that I like. I play a different contests. I'll play head-to-head, some 50-50s, some double-ups. I'll play some of the large GPPs. I know it's crazy, but I feel like I got just as good a chance as anyone else. I've never won one of these showdown contests, but I believe in my process, and I know one day I will. I've placed in a lot. I do have a really high cash percentage in a lot of the contests that I enter in Showdown, and I feel good about my overall process. But back to the optimizer, I want to see the different randomizations. I don't MME, meaning I don't play the 150 lineups. If I could, I would. I'm just not in the position to do that. I don't have anything against anybody that does it. It makes sense. As I said, if I ever get a chance, I'll do it too. But there's no way that building different line. If I'm building lineups for the 20 entry $1 or the 20 entry quarter, building different lineups, I might not see all the different randomizations that are possible by manual building. So I set up my optimizer from a paid site that I use. I set it for 150 lineups. Very rarely do I get 150 out of it because of the minimum maximum exposures that I set. In Showdown, I don't use that many rules because I want to see a true randomizations, and the craziest things happen during Showdown contests. And like for this game in particular, I got 137 out of the 150. That's how many the optimizer was able to generate out of the captains that I had selected. I set the minimum maximum exposures on the captains. I set the minimum maximum exposures for the flex. I set it for at least 2 unique players on the Showdown, meaning I want 2 different players on every lineup. And as I said, I only use a couple rules. Couple of the rules that I already mentioned: the quarterback and the captain, I want 2 targets in the flex. And unless he's a running quarterback, there's only one way he's going to be a high scorer, and that's to be spreading the ball around to different receivers. And if I have a wide receiver in the captain, I always like to have his quarterback in the flex, because the only way he's going to go off is if the quarterback throws him the ball. And that's just how I correlate my lineups for Showdown. I try to only use one of the 4 between the 2 defensive special teams and 2 field goal kickers, 2 at the most. Kickers have the safest floor. I try to go with the kicker from the team that's favored. Obviously, they have a higher implied total, and it just makes sense to take the kicker from the team who you think is going to score the most points, and that's just how I do it. And like I said, at the most, I'll use two of the four, maybe a defense and a kicker. And I don't have anything against using the defense against the captain that I'm using. Sometimes those really correlate really well. And I'd let it run. And as I said, I just look at the different randomizations. And as I always do, I share a couple of the optimized lineups with you guys. Now, the main reason for me to showing you these lineups isn't to give you picks or give you a lineup to run out there and play. If you do, and you find yourself in the same contest with me, the Cowboy Fan 215, then we'll split it. No big deal. I'd rather have something than nothing. But the main reason I do this is to give you some numbers, show you my process, and help you build your lineups. And I like to hear the stories. I've heard some through the season about guys winning, and that makes me know, helps me know that showing you these numbers and my process is helping some people put together winning lineups, and that's what this is about. So, without further ado, I'm going to share a couple of the optimized lineups with you guys. The first one had Derrick Henry in the captain. It had that Humphreys in the flex. It had the kicker from Tennessee. It had the kicker from Kansas City, Tyreek Hill, and Patrick Mahomes. That left 600 on the table. It's pretty interesting, and you could see a situation if Henry gets going like he has in these previous two playoff games. I mean, in the first game against the Chiefs, he had 188 yards rushing, a 68-yard touchdown, and another 1-yard touchdown. So you could see a situation if he gets rolling. The Chiefs aren't that good against the run. They could possibly be without defensive lineman Chris Jones this weekend. And this would make sense if he got rolling. Mahomes is having to throw the ball to Hill. You got both field goal kickers. I don't generally like that, but that's what the optimizer spit out. And you got Humphreys here. Obviously, if Humphreys isn't playing, always make sure you check the injury report before the game. This game kicks off at 3:05. The injury report will be out at 1:35, 90 minutes before kickoff. Always check that. Even if a player doesn't have an injury designation, you never know. Something happens in warm-ups, what have you, and player at the last second's ruled out or something. And so you in any contest, main slate or showdown, especially, you only have 6 players. You don't want 0 for one of them. So this was a lineup generated by the optimizer. Now I'm going to show you guys one more before I get out of here. And this one had Mahomes in the captain spot. It had Humphreys again. It had the kicker Joseph from Tennessee. Once again, it had Butker. And this one had Hill and Kelsey. Now, this is interesting because this just totally phased out Derrick Henry and Hill. So this would definitely be a contrarian lineup. Left 1,000 on the table. You got Mahomes with 2 big targets here. And you could see a situation where both of these guys go off. And that would mean if that's going on, then you would be led to believe that Tennessee's having to do some throwing. So this was, like I said, this was generated by the optimizer, and that's what I want to see is the different randomizations of these players, and that's why I use it. I go through and select the ones I like. Usually a few in a row, skip down a few more in a row, along the lines of how I think the game will go. And I always have, if I pick between 4 and 6 captains, I always if I might have 4 from Kansas City and 2 from Tennessee, just like I had the optimizer spit out the first lineup, had Henry in the captain spot. It just makes sense the way the guy's been playing. But you never know. In Showdown, I mean, anything can happen. And so there you go. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. I encourage you to please drop any comments or opinions that you may have below. Please share this video, like it, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when my next video posts. Wanted to mention this again about the subscribers. My subscriptions have went up and my viewers have went way up, and this channel has definitely exceeded all my expectations this year, and it's all because of you guys. And I'm planning on keeping it going and making it grow and being even better and bigger for you guys. So I really appreciate that. You don't have anything to lose by becoming a subscriber. This information is free, and I feel like I have some really good information to share. And just give me a chance. You don't have anything to lose. I will be posting a video for the San Francisco Green Bay game tomorrow. Again, always check your injury reports 90 minutes before kickoff. You can also follow me on Twitter at winningabout. I try to post any injury news or any relevant NFL information and some different stuff. It might not be about the weekend games, but right now, any information that would come up, I would post on there. I try to answer any comments that you guys have, and I really appreciate the comments and some of the opinions that you have, some things that you'd like to see or that might help you. I really appreciate that. And so I will be back to post the San Fran Green Bay tomorrow morning. I wish you guys good luck this weekend. My name is Ty Patton. This is all about winning daily fantasy sports, and I'll see you again real soon. Thank you.